Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Ifan bin Muhammad Zabidi. My metric number is BC252542. So in this video, I will explain to you guys about nervous system. So this is some briefly of content that I will explain in this video. But before I will start my presentation, I will show you a video that related to my topic. As you guys can see in the video, the nervous system is truly the command center of our body. But what exactly is it? The nervous system is a complex network of our neurons that allow us to sense, think, move, and respond to the world around us. It controls everything from the beat of our heart to the tiniest muscle movement in our fingers. Did you know that the human brain alone contains around 86 billion of neurons, each forming thousands of connections? Understanding the nervous system is important not only for appreciating how our bodies works, but also for recognizing how disorders can affect our daily lives. So let us go through the structure of neurons. So basically, what is neuron? Neuron is a nerve cell, the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system. It is responsible for reception, transmission, and processing of stimuli. Some characteristic features of a neuron are many processes, whether in excitability, conductivity, and the nerve impulse is the electrical changes occurring in a neuron when it's stimulated that can spread and conduct along the neurites. So this is basic structure of neuron that contains dendrite, cell body, axon, and synaptic terminal. Now let's look more closely at the structure of a neuron, starting with the cell body. The cell body is the main part of neuron. It contains nucleus, neurofibrils, and nucleus bodies. At one side of the cell body, there is cone-shaped region called the axon hillock. This is the area where the axon begins. The shape of the cell body can vary depending on the type of neuron. Neurons have two main types of processes, which is dendrites and also axons. Dendrites carry impulses toward the cell body. In motor neurons, they are short, branching, and look like tree branches. Dendrites are the main receiving areas of the neuron, and they collect information from other cells. The signals they receive are usually graded potential, which are some smaller electrical changes, not fully action potential. Next is axon. Axon is a single efferent processes that arise from the axon hillock. There is no nascent granules, and long axons are called the nerve fibers. Next, terminating on the other neuron, effector organs by way of branch terminal buttons axon. The function of axon is generate and transmit action potentials and secrete neurotransmitter from the axon terminal. The neuron classification by structure have four types, which is multipolar, unipolar, bipolar, and pseudonipolar. Next, I will explain about the neuroglia. Neuroglia is the supporting cells of the nervous system. So first and foremost, I will explain the neuroglia type that located in the CNS, which is the first one is astrocytes that maintain blood-brain barrier. Next is oligodendrocytes that produce myelin sheaths around CNS, and microglia that act as immune cells of the CNS, and then lastly is ependymal cells that line ventricles and central canal. The neuroglia that located in PNS is Schwann cell that form myelin sheath in PNS, and the satellite cells that surround the neuron cell bodies in ganglia. After that, let's see the type of neurons. There are three types, which is sensory neuron, motor neuron, and interneurons. The first type is sensory neurons. These neurons are responsible for carrying information from the cell body to the brain and spinal cord. They allow us to feel things like touch, pain, temperature, smell, and sound. Sensory neurons help us detect what is happening both side and outside of our body. The second one is the interneurons, found only in the brain and spinal cord. Their main job is to connect sensory and motor neurons. They act like the middleman that help processes information and make decisions. Lastly, the motor neuron or efferent neurons. They carry signals from the brain and spinal cord to the muscle and glands They control action like walking, moving your fingers, breathing, and even blinking. So let's move to the major division of the nervous system that consists of central nervous system, CNS, and peripheral nervous system, PNS. For the central nervous system, we have brain and also spinal cord. So after that, I will explain the brain part and also the function. The first one is cerebrum that controls thinking. Next one, cerebellum coordinates balance. Brainstem that controls autonomic vital functions. Thalamus that acts as sensory relay station. Hypothalamus that maintains homeostasis. Epithalamus that includes pineal gland. And last but not least, basal ganglia that coordinates movement initiation. Next, let's look at the spinal cord, which is the second one at the central nervous system. The function of spinal cord is for the communication that sends motor commands from the brain to the muscle. And second one is reflexes that coordinate simple reflexes independently of the brain. And last but not least, support and protection. Encased in the vertebrae, the spinal cord is protected while allowing flexibility. The peripheral nervous system includes all cranial nerves, all spinal nerves, and peripheral nerves and also their branches. The main function is acts as a communication bridge between the CNS and the rest of the body. It carries sensory information to CNS and motor commands to muscle and also glands. Now let's look at the motor neuron, which is the differences between somatic and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system is voluntary and the effector organ is skeletal muscle, but autonomic nervous system is involuntary and the effector organ is smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and also glands. Next, let's see the differences between the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system named as fight or flight, and the main role is for action, stress, and also danger. But for the sympathetic, it names as rest and also digest, and the main role is to conserve energy and promotes recovery. Next, did you imagine how our nerve signals work? So it's basically by the synapse. The synapse is the site of the communication between the neurons that facilitate transmission of impulses from one neuron to another neuron and to an effector cells. For one unidirectional transmission of a nerve impulse, transmit impulse by releasing neurotransmitter at the axon terminal. So the synapse classification have two, which is electrical synapse and also chemical synapse. The types of synapse is exodendritic, exosomatic, exoisonic, and also dendrodendritic. Now let me explain how the nerve impulse is passed from one neuron to another. When an action potential arrives at the presynaptic neuron, calcium channels open and calcium ion enter the terminal. The calcium causes vesicles to release neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. The neurotransmitter crosses the gap and binds to receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. This opens ion channels where sodium ion entering excite the neuron and may create the new action potential, while chloride entering or potassium leaving inhibits the neuron. Finally, the signal stops when neurotransmitters are removed. Let's move into the common disorder that related to the nervous system. The first one is the Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive brain disorder that mainly affects the cerebrum, especially the areas involved in memory and thinking. It happens when amyloid plaques and tau tangles build up in the brain, damaging and killing neurons. As a result, patients experience memory loss, such as forgetting recent events, and may become confused and disoriented. Next is multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disorder where the body attacks the myelin sheath of neurons in the central nervous system. Myelin normally protects nerve fibers and helps signals travel quickly, so damage it slows or blocks the nerve impulses. As a result, patients may experience muscle weakness or spasms and vision problems such as blur or double vision. After that, epilepsy. Epilepsy occurs when abnormal electrical activity in the brain causes sudden bursts of neurofiring. This leads to recurrent seizures and temporary confusions. Last but not least is the Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease affects the basal ganglia, which control movement due to the lack of dopamine. As a result, patients may experience tremors in the hands, arms, or legs, muscle stiffness, and also slow movement. In conclusion, the nervous system is an incredibly complex and vital network that controls almost every aspect of our body, from voluntary movements and reflexes to memory, emotions, and the functions of our organ. Appreciates how our body works and highlight the importance of maintaining their health throughout our life. That's all. Thank you.